Apologies for the technical difficulties. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. I just wanted to give a quick and short reminder, something that we hear. We've just passed Ramadan, and it's only just been a few days that Ramadan has left us. And we hear it in the khutbahs, we hear it in the khatiras towards the end of Ramadan. Keep continuing after Ramadan. Keep continuing what you do after Ramadan. Keep continuing what you do in Ramadan after Ramadan. And I personally always found that very difficult to do. Because Ramadan, it just makes things a lot easier. It makes it easier for us to come to Salah because the community is there. It makes it easier to read Quran because that is the emphasis of the whole month. It's actually easier to fast in Ramadan. Allah has put things in place to make it a lot easier for us to do a lot more in Ramadan. After Ramadan, it goes back to being our normal routine. And to keep up with things, it is not as easy as just saying, oh, do the same as you did in Ramadan. Because Ramadan is easier. Allah has taken away the shayateen, right? They are chained up, so it makes it a lot easier for us in Ramadan. For one example, the fasting of Sitta min Shawwal. Fasting 6 days in Shawwal, I personally have found to be much more difficult than fasting all of Ramadan. Right? It just naturally becomes harder, but Allah has put that there to encourage us to continue to some extent. And one of the days that we had the Qiyam, one of the scholars that was here, I asked him the question, like, what can we do? How can we continue after Ramadan what we were doing in Ramadan? And it was very interesting that he said that the expectation is not that you continue doing everything. Ramadan is meant to be a time where we can do more. And this is shown in the Sahaba, this is shown in the Prophet ﷺ. They always went and did more in Ramadan. But outside of Ramadan, it is harder. However, one of the signs that your Ramadan has been accepted is that you're able to do better in after Ramadan than what you were doing before that Ramadan. So the standard of what you're aiming for is not what you were doing in Ramadan. What you compare yourself to is what you were doing before the Ramadan. So before you started last Ramadan, this Ramadan that we just passed last month, think about something in Ramadan that you were able to do, that you weren't doing before. Right? There's many things that we were able to do, alhamdulillah, in Ramadan. And he said, choose one or two things that you can try to continue. If it's coming to Salah in the Jama'ah, a little bit more. Reading a little bit more of Quran than what you were doing before Ramadan. Is it keeping away from something that you were able to keep away from in Ramadan? You try to keep away from that after Ramadan. So if it's an extra good deed, if it's an extra sin that you stay away from, you do not want post-Ramadan to be less than or the same as you were before the Ramadan. Every Ramadan, you make a small change. You work on yourself a little bit more. And with this, every Ramadan, you make a small increment, you make a small change, and over your lifetime, you'll be able to make a huge change in your life. So the idea is not to keep your standard and your reference point as what you were doing in Ramadan, because Allah makes that a lot easier for us. We try to be better than who we were before the last Ramadan. So I encourage everyone to try to think about one thing, two things, how much ever you can, and try to be consistent with it, that you will stick with, starting now, after we have passed Ramadan, till the next Ramadan, and then it becomes a habit. And the next Ramadan, inshallah, mabalighna Ramadan for many years. And every Ramadan, we try to improve ourselves one step at a time. So inshallah, may Allah help us benefit from what we learned. And inshallah, may Allah make it easier for us to improve ourselves slowly and become the best and become leaders of the Ummah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.